Welcome to the Speak Her podcast with your host, Camille Essick, the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. This is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. What I need you to do right now is hit that notification bell and subscribe. Follow me. I'm on Facebook at the Speaker Podcast. I've also started building up my YouTube channel at Camille Essick as well as Instagram at Camille.Essick. And I would love to hear from you. You can send me an email at thespeakerpodcast@gmail.com. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you missed last night's live, I sat down with celebrity stylist, author, and podcaster Whitney Victoria. The week prior to, we kicked off this new season of the Speaker Podcast with the heart and soul. It was a great conversation. I sat down with an amazing group of brothers, and we had an amazing conversation about love, relationships, dating, mental health, and marriage. And that episode is also now streaming across various platforms such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Pandora. And y'all, the podcast continues to grow. We've been picked up by Pandora and Amazon Audible. Very excited about those things. And I was looking at some stats, and not only just here domestically, but we are streaming internationally. So we do have family that listens to us in places like Germany. So as of last I checked, we are streaming in 49 countries and 73 cities. So we are growing, and I'm really happy about that. But without further ado, y'all know her. I call her the queen of choirs. She is like our modern day Dr. Maddie Moss. She don't play about the choir life, okay? And y'all, she has an amazing journey, and we're gonna hear about that tonight. So I am introducing to some and presenting to others the doctor, I call it Elder Lala, Elder LaShawn Chandler. Welcome to the show.
Hey, sis, how are you?
I'm here. It's been a week, but you know what? I'm here. So it's all good. So I have my tea. I'm ready for the conversation. I made it right before we went on. It's elderberry, ginger, lemon, and honey. So
Yummy, yummy. Okay.
yes. Um, so if y'all haven't done so, be sure to hit that notification bell, tag some people. This is going to be a good conversation. Share, and we're going to hop in. So those that are not familiar with you, let the listeners and viewers know who you are and a little bit about what you do.
I'm sorry. I'm sitting here trying to. Wait a minute. Am I still alive? Lord
I,
Jesus.
I can hear you.
Can you see me?
No.
Wait. Cancel. I was
Yes,
trying to. Wait a minute. Let's go to commercial break. Hallelujah.
it's okay.
Okay. I was trying to press the button to stream to my folks, but anyway, I'm sorry. Please repeat the question. I'm just all over the place right now.
It's okay. I was just asking you just to introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about who you are and what you do. Because everyone within my audience, they may not be familiar with you, but in the world of gospel music and choirs, your name rings supreme. But I want everyone to know just a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I am LaShawn Chandler. I hail from the great city of Gary, Indiana, originally. However, I definitely can certify myself as a Georgia Peach because I have been here since I was 12 years old, which was only about 10 years ago. Aha, aha, aha. So I've been in Georgia for most of my life. Um, as my sister Camille said, I am a choir director. That is one side of me. I have been directing choirs now for over 30 years. That is insane. Um, which means, again, I've only been directing choirs for 5 years. Yeah, wink, wink. Um, Professionally, and I'm about to get a crazy look on Camille's face. I have been a professional full-time graphic designer for 15 years, going on 16 years now.
This is why we get along so well.
Yes, I came off of a corporate job in 2009, and I have been full-time, independent since April 9th, 2009. This year makes year number 16, where I do graphic design and ministry full-time.
That's awesome. Congrats. And
Yes.
it's things are making sense now. So, backstory into this conversation. So of course, we're part of the women's department, and they just started a thing where to make fellowship outside the walls, just matching people together. And we had to fill out a survey. And so, of course, you don't get to choose. And then the powers that be, based on the results, they'll match you with certain people. And so, in the group, they were like, "Oh, your quarterly partner is Elder LaShawn Chandler," and I was like, "Oh, and so we've been quietly having this ongoing kiki. So when they matched us together, I was like, they already told us what we already knew.
Exactly.
So it's great. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have her on is because although we've like joked and laughed in passing and maybe like texting, this is my first time actually sitting down with her. And I figured, well, since we got matched together as sisters, match sisters for the quarter, let's just make it a thing and have a whole conversation, like a meet and greet where I can learn more about her, she can learn about me, but then also share her with the world because I think she's so dope. And so I just thought this would just be a great time to sit down and have some sisterly connection because as Black women, even now culturally, we're dealing with so much. And this is a time where community matters and sisterhood matters and support matters. And so what I want to ask you is, throughout your life, what has sisterhood and connection looked like for you, good or bad? But what do you feel like is the most important thing for you right now in this season of your life?
Um, Sisterhood to me is basically, it's very important. It's having a support system of like-minded women who you can, share your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your vulnerabilities, um, with in a safe, a safe emotional and mental environment. People that uh, have earned the right to check you, because we all need, to have some accountability. Um, People that will pour into me and that I can pour into as well, where you can truly be honest without judgment, without fear of your business being repeated to other people. Just a camaraderie. There are so many things that you can learn from your sisters, as well as so many things that you can share about, the ups and downs of life, where they don't necessarily have they don't have to repeat some of the mistakes that you made, and vice versa. um I would say personally, my sister circle is very, 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 very small. Which is not to say that I don't have, a lot of people that you can converse with, people that you can get encouragement from, and things of that nature. But I like to kind of jokingly say that although I am very much all the way live, public person that a lot of people may or may not know, but I'm a very public, private person, if that makes sense. Um, you will know as much about me as I let you know. And I'm okay with that. Because everybody can't take all of you, and I'm good with that. So just having sisterhood is very important to me. I've been burned many times, when you let those walls down and you trust people. So I've learned, got those scars of being burned when you've opened up maybe too much to people who maybe just did not have the capacity to handle all of you. So it's a gradual it's a gradual thing for me. A lot of people that interact with me, I have my what I call my grandmother's spirit. My grandmother was one who made everybody feel like they were your best friend, although they really although they really weren't. Um, but just accepting people, um, and that's what I would say.
That's good. So I tend to listen to a lot of podcasts just because to me it's like a master class, and I'm always listening to see and watch to see like how do people handle certain situations and questions because everyone's different. We deal with a lot of personalities, and I love like facts and statistics. And so I was
Mhm,
listening to one, I can't remember which one, but it was a podcast, and they were just talking about Black women and mental health, and
mhm,
they made a point that really stuck out to me, and the term was touch deprivation. And so when
mm,
I heard the phrase, my ears picked up, and I'm like, what is that? And so the person speaking, they said statistically, most little Black girls receive less hugs and affection as children in comparison to their white counterparts. And then the only time statistically most Black women growing up, young girls growing into older women, young women, the only time they receive affection is through a romantic relationship. And outside of that, they don't get the hugs and the I love you and I miss you unless they go to church.
mhm,
And I was like, what? And so they were saying, as a lot of Black women, as they get older, unless it's in a romantic situation or church, they don't receive hugs and the I love you and the affirmation, like I miss you. And I started thinking about that and I was like, wow. So I said all that to say in the space of church, the importance of finding connections. And I know we've all experienced church hurt in and out of the church. But
mhm.
for you, what has it been for you to have that space um outside the four walls as far as community and having those places, safe places of affirmation within your sister group?
Well, let me kind of touch on what you initially said. I am very fortunate to have indeed come from an environment of a family that was very touchy feely, very affectionate, very affirming, very supportive from my mother, both my parents, my siblings, my aunts and uncles, my maternal grandmother. She's gonna love you, love you, love you, like Dr. Shirley Moore always says. So I'm fortunate that I was never deprived of that, where I had to look outside of that. Although non-familial love, affirmation, and things of that nature is important too. So church for me, pretty much was an extension of what I got from from my blood family. Um, Back home in Indiana, um, all of my aunts and uncles and my grandmother on my mom's side, we all went to the same church. My parents. So church, and then my grandmother's house, because my aunts and uncles are not too far in age from me, because my mother is the oldest of five children, and so her younger brothers and sisters were more closer to me and my brother's age. So we were always around them, and then so my grandmother's house became the hangout spot for all the young people from church. Um, so church was just a big, big, big extension of my family unit. So I love church. I'm a church girl. Don't know what not being in church is like.
Mm,
Um, as a younger girl, um, you know, the people's house that I went to school with, people that went to my church. I hung out at the houses of my girlfriends that went to my church. So it was all just a really, really big family extension for me. that carried over into church. And so all of it was very important to me and really helped me to develop into the person that I am today.
That's awesome, and we have others coming in right now.
I
Just wanna
see.
thank
Hey,
you,
mom.
everyone tapping in. We appreciate it. Dr. Wilbin, Olivia Jacoby, hey, Sora, Adelia, Deacon George, thank you all for tapping in. We're really just getting into the beginning, the icebreaker portion of our conversation here. And I love that you said that. And I guess with my background, all of that, like church girl, but then I experienced life outside of church when I went to college and decided I wanted to see what life was like on my own. Although I was still coming to church, I was in college and I was a college student, and we'll leave it at that.
Mhm.
In the
It's
90s.
under the blood, under the blood. Hallelujah.
BC or BC
Yeah,
between
BC.
Christ, between Christ. And so it's just like having those experiences and still having community, because a lot of like my first notes that I got from a boy was in church, right? And so
Oh
because
yes. Now that we're gonna talk about that too, because just because I was a church girl and always in church, all of the bad stuff I learned was from in church as well.
that first "Do you like me?" check yes, check no was on the back of a church program. So, and you would act like you would go to the bathroom and then drop it off, and then your mom be like, "You doing too much walking. I'm gonna make you come sit with me." So all those things about it, but it was a coming of age, for all of us, and I think um despite everything that people have to say, I still have a lot of good memories as far as, the church youth skate parties and the shut-ins. Even though
Oh
we were
yes.
supposed to be praying and sleep, we giggling and laughing or sneaking candy that we shouldn't have been eating, just all the stuff kids do. And
Mhm.
and so I just think about how even now through the women's department, how they matched us together, and offline we had started connecting anyway. And so I was so excited when they told us, they were like, "Oh, you're a sister for the quarters, Elder LaShawn." I was like, "Yes!" Like and so it's just a really good time. And so one of the things I want to ask you is, yes, Olivia, the church bulletin. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you is, first of all, shout out to my Spirit and Truth family. One of the coldest choirs out here. A lot of people are saying like, "Oh, people don't do choirs anymore, and it's just a person." I was like, "Not in my church. We do both
Hallelujah.
and," you know. And
Yes.
you all were in the competition this past year. It was the Voices of, what was it called? Voices
How
of
sweet the sound.
How Sweet the Sound, and you all were second runner up out of,
Yeah.
like that's a big deal.
Yes.
And so getting into your musical journey, what was your inspiration as far as stepping into the world of music? Like how did that start?
So, going back to my hometown, Gary, Indiana, I was born and raised as a member of Logan Park Assembly of Christ Church of the Apostolic Faith, Bishop George, the late Bishop George Lee Stearns, in Gary, Indiana. And we had one of the coldest choirs in the PAW at the time, the pastor's choir. And I wasn't old enough to be in the choir initially because you had to be I think 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there, to be in the choir. um and my church had female choir directors, and I would just just kind of watch them. All right, Adelia. uh I would just watch them and just be in awe of the command that they had, of the vocals. Um, will watch them teach, and I come from a musical family, so I would literally go home, put on my parents' albums as we had, or their cassette tapes, and I literally, um even as a preteen, I could pick out soprano, alto, tenor parts, and I would stand be in my mirror directing my mirror choir, I mean, with full passion, charisma, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So then we moved to Atlanta in 1986, and we joined Bethesda Temple Apostolic Church over there in Decatur under Bishop Stuart Reese. And my mind was blown as I watched the now First Lady, Wanda Reese. Anybody who knows Wanda Reese, I mean, I had seen other female directors, but that woman, I would go to choir rehearsal with my mother, and I would almost have tears in my eyes because she was just that bad. Her teaching skills, her just her directorial everything. I wanted to be Wanda Reese. And so I think many of you, I'm sure, have heard of my cousin Kevin Stiles.
I didn't know that was your cousin.
That
Okay.
is my cousin. We both came out of Gary, Indiana. So he and his family were also members of Bethesda. And Kevin and I would basically, be sitting in the audience as our mothers were in rehearsal. And lo and behold, the Lady Wanda Reese told us that we could join the choir. We were probably the youngest choir members. So we would be in the choir, and we were the master tambourine players as well as singers in the choir. And one year, the Lady Wanda Reese let me direct. Let me tell y'all.
Why should do that?
Y'all can tell me I was ready. Like I was like, I've been waiting all my life.
You was like, put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach. And she let me direct the choir, and I led a song with her.
Okay.
So I was ready. So fast forward, I graduate senior in high school. I also arranged and directed our senior class song at our graduation. So that
Okay.
was outside of church. That was like my first time publicly directing. Then fast forward, I become a freshman at Emory University here in Atlanta. And it just so happens that one of the assistant directors for my church choir was also over the gospel choir there at Emory. It was the Voices of Inner Strength. So as a freshman, I joined the gospel choir there at Emory. And every year they select a student directress. So of course you have to audition. You have to audition for it. So naturally, I auditioned for it. As you probably all can tell, I've never been a shy or underspoken uh, person. Um, so me and I think it was maybe 4 or 5 other students auditioned for student directress, and it was funny because most of them went before me, and this is not to brag or anything, but they couldn't teach parts. So they would, like, one person, he basically taught the choir in all unison, meaning everybody was singing the same part. The next person, she kind of just didn't have the ear. Next person, next person. So then it was my turn. And at that point, my confidence level was on 5,000. I wasn't scared or anything. Taught the song, killed the song. The choir killed the song. I think one other person went after me. And to the glory of God, yes, I was selected as that year's student directress, as well as in my sophomore year there. Um, and, the choir, we did a summer tour. I think my first year we went to up the East Coast, DC, all those areas. And so I have been professionally, if you will, directing since being a freshman in college.
Wow. So what a resume, first of all. Wow, very impressive. I love the receipts, right? So through all of that, because it's such a male dominated space, right? When we look at directors,
Yes, yes.
how have you been able to stand your ground, hold your own? Then there's like the mental health side of it. When you're in a space, proving yourself, like what has that been like for you? Just one in the male dominated space. And then what did you do to maintain that confidence from the mental health side when sometimes you may be one of one and showing up and just kind of, you know, elbowing your way into the crowd. And I asked because I did 8 years in the Navy, which is
Mhm,
very male dominated. And so it makes you more assertive. Like you have to assert your presence. And to
mhm.
those that don't know you, it may come off like, oh, she's, a little brash. But and it's not that. It's just growing up in church, always soft spoken, introverted, and learning my voice to
Mhm.
people that were accustomed to mousy Camille. And sometimes people are just like, well, that was, and it's not that, but it's just you've learned to find your voice. So what has that been like for you?
I will be totally honest with you. I am so passionate about music and what I do. I simply just do it.
Mm,
I've never felt the need to be anybody outside of myself. When if I'm not confident about any other areas of my life, music, my ear, teaching, directing, those are things that I have just 1000% confidence about. And that's not coming from a cocky place or anything like that. It's just my passion for teaching, my passion for directing has just always been just very, very on, on 10. Um, because I know that I'm good at what I do.
yeah,
Um, so I show up and I be me, and I know this may not be grammatically correct. I show up and I be me.
yeah.
And that's what, I guess, if you will, makes me stand out or whatnot.
Mhm.
I'm not comparing myself to anybody. I'm not trying to be anybody outside of who God made me to be. I study my craft, so this is not just, I just lean on the anointing of God. I lean on the power of the Holy Ghost, although those are necessary and important. But I study music. I study, if I'm teaching, I'm listening to a song 50 times in a day and I'm mastering those parts. I'm listening, learning the soprano line, learning the alto line, learning the tenor line. I'm jumping, I'll jump from soprano, jump to out, so that I always know where I am in the song as far as, your vocal parts. Also, I don't play an instrument.
Mm,
However, God has blessed me, with a very, very sensitive and very musically keen ear, that I know how to speak the musician language to the musicians to be able to communicate what it is I'm looking for, what key they need to be in. I know when they're cheating. I know when they don't know their music. And so a lot of my musician friends, they always like to tease me and say, yeah, she's the non-musician because she hears everything. She knows what's supposed to be what. So I'm very aware that the choir director field is absolutely male dominant. And so I just always stay on top of honing my craft and always showing up prepared, always showing up ready. You ain't gonna catch me slipping. That's not to say I'm always, that I can't make a mistake or whatnot, but you can best believe, because I'm passionate about what I do and who I do it for, I just always want to be ready, prepared. I don't like my time wasted. So therefore, it's important to me to always show up prepared so that I can maximize the time of, choir members. I'm not fumbling over parts. I'm not, still learning as I'm trying to teach. No, 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 no. So my time is valuable. And so I equally value the time of the persons that, God blesses me to be in a position to teach. So I respect them by showing up ready. I respect them by knowing all the ins and the outs or whatnot. And so I guess that's what would separate me or make me stand out. It's just I'm always going to be ready to the best of my ability because I'm really, really passionate about, this role that God has blessed me to be in.
That's awesome. And doesn't that also speak to like honoring the gifts that God gives us? Although we may have the gifting and the talent and the anointing that He puts in us, and it may seem like it's second nature or innate, but
Hmm.
that's also honor and stewardship of what He gives us. It's like a seed or a small piece of a field. Like He gives it to you, but then it's up to us to cultivate it. Now, as we do so, He'll bless it, but it's our responsibility to steward and honor those gifts that He gives us. Um, so I just to hear that, um, growing up in church, because I did the Sunshine Band, I did youth choir, young adult choir, pastor choir, like we do all the choir things, and a lot of my friends are either first ladies, pastors, or musicians, right? So I've been in those circles like my whole life, and so you see a lot when it comes
Hmm.
to those circles as far as those that don't practice, don't study, don't rehearse. Or on the other end, they don't do that, but they critique everything.
Yes.
And so it's just like we all have an opinion on style, but at the end of the day, you have to steward your gift.
Yes.
And it's like anything. What's the saying? If you don't use it, you lose it. And I've heard people that may not be is vocally astute, but
Hmm.
because they honored what God gave them with the
Hmm.
practice and the listening to the music, when they open their mouth, they can flip a room. And
Yes.
I've heard some people that would run you like Usain Bolt, and I'm sitting in church like, when they gonna sit down? Are you done yet? And so when you see those things, but every time I see you and the passion that you have with the choir and how they respond to you, we see and experience the fruits of that. And the music, can you kind of touch on how important it is for those that are what are called assigned to the office of music, how it really impacts a room and can set the tone? Because whatever you take in, my god brother, he's a phenomenal organist. And years ago, he told me, he was like, Camille, like, he's like, I love R&B, right? But he's like, there are seasons where I have to monitor what I'm taking in because as a musician, he was like, whatever is going on with me, it comes out through the music.
Hmm.
So can you kind of touch on that a little bit?
Um, I think it goes without saying how powerful music is. Music has the ability to take you places. Music has the ability to invoke or invoke uh, emotions. Um, I think if a certain song gets played, it's going to take you back to a specific moment, a specific memory, a specific person, a specific place, etc., etc., etc. And so um music has the ability to do things that sometimes just words in and of itself may not be able to do. Music, you could I remember I was crazy story. I was getting my nails done in a nail salon, and it was in a in an Asian nail salon, and they had a song playing. I couldn't tell you what in the world the singer was saying, because it was in Korean or whatever the language was, but you could feel just the emotions through the singer's vocal inflections. It was, it was sad. It was, I was like, what is this? I don't know what this man is
What
saying.
has he gone through?
Right.
Oh
And
gosh.
so, like, I could feel just the heartbreak, or whatever it was he had to have been talking about. And so I asked the nail tech, I was like, what is this song about? And he was like, it's the guy he's singing about, a girl that he broke up with. I was like, I could tell. I didn't even need to know what language he was speaking,
Yeah.
but the feelings that came from the song. So songs evoke spirits. Okay. I am one of those persons. You call me old fashioned all you want to, but I, being in church, I'm not one who can just readily deal with, oh, it doesn't matter as long as the lyrics are okay. It shouldn't matter what the song is. And I'm like, I beg to differ, because you can't play the music to Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing and just slap some gospel lyrics over top of it. No, because those chords, that music, all of that is going to take you back to the original song. It's going to take you back to a memory. It's going to take you somewhere you have no business no business going mentally and emotionally while you're in church. So music, just music carries spirits. Absolutely. I mean, we think of in the Bible with when King Saul would call for David. um when King Saul would call for David to play skillfully on the harp, when he was troubled in his spirit, and through David playing of the harp, he would be able to drive the spirits away. So I'm very cognizant of song selections. I'm very cognizant of what I feed my spirit. I love all styles of music. I'm not always playing gospel music. Praise the Lord.
I'm an R&B
However,
girl. I confess, I am an 80s, 90s R&B girly to
yes,
the core.
yes.
And Jodeci, ooh yeah, me
See,
anytime.
oh yeah,
Ooh,
exactly.
in the desert with leather on, like yes, let's do it.
Yeah. So when I know my mind needs to be, geared towards certain things that I'm preparing for, I have to absolutely be very careful about the type of music that I'm listening to.
Yeah.
Um, I can't I can't be riding to church listening to Prince and then pull up in the parking lot. Y'all know.
Adore the extended.
Anybody who know me, they know that I am a Prince and Michael Jackson girl.
Yeah,
But
I
I
love
can't.
PYT. That's my favorite Michael Jackson
Me
song.
too! But I can't listen to that when I'm in the zone trying to get, before I'm focusing, needing to hear from God, needing to be in the right vein to
Yes.
lead God's people somewhere. And so I'm very careful of what I'm taking into my ear gate. Um so I don't I feel like I've been all over the
No,
place.
you're not. I'm agreeing because like you're talking and these other things are coming to my mind because I grew up around my god brother and certain musicians. I love musicianship, and one of my
Absolutely.
all-time favorite groups ever. I love Mint Condition,
Mm-hmm.
like just the arrangement, the vocals, their production, the all of that. Stokely, love him.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way Stevie Wonder composes songs. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a jazz girl. So I love
Mm-hmm.
Kasimi Washington. I'm a huge fan of Robert Glasper.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin, we were talking last week for Valentine's Day, he took his girlfriend to see Robert Glasper and I almost lost my mind because I'm like, if you know anything about Rob Glasper, if you're a music head, he is like,
Yeah.
big time. But then when you were talking, I also thought about I was at one of the Greek parties and we were having a great time. I'm with my sorors, we're strolling, everybody's strolling. And since I grew up in the 99 and 2000s,
Watch out now.
that's why my knees bad now. Look. So and because I went to Middle Tennessee State, so we had a lot of students from Memphis. And if you know anything about Nuck If You Buck, and they would play that song and we could have a great time. They would play Nuck If You Buck, and a fight will break out every time. And we would be like, what happened? We were having so much fun. And the campus police will have to come and shut it down because they want to play Gangsta Boo. And, so yes, it can shift the room, good or bad.
Right.
Absolutely. But I am in a season like right now where I have, especially coming, this consecration was so different. And so I've been in a space where I've been quieter as far as music I listen to. I've done more devotion time. And it's not that I've thrown away my R&B. Just for me right now, it's like, not today. Let's turn on the audio Bible or let's find something else. Okay, Auntie Angie. And so I've kind of shifted my focus, but I still love it. But it's just where I'm at right now, because I'm just needing to hear some things. I've kind of turned it down, so I absolutely understand. Um, in the sisterhood standpoint, since we are discussing sisterhood and friendship as we turn the corner, first of all, thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't done so, please tag and share. We're having a great conversation. Um, what has been one of the things you have found in this season of life after college, after going through what we call the young adult years, getting into this what I call chapter 2 of life? What have you found as something that you see as like, I have to have this in my sister circle or my friendships? Like, what are your deal breakers and what's important to you in terms of sisterhood and friendship?
Deal breakers. I can't do liars. I can't do disrespect. I can't do people who show inconsideration, whether it be, for time, inconsideration in communication. Um, I'm a big communicator. And so, say what you mean what you say. If you're not gonna mean it, don't say it, because I'm gonna hold you to what you say. Um, and what I would deem as inconsideration is, for instance, if you tell me you're going to do XYZ, I get it. Things happen, things come up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But be considerate enough for me to communicate that to me so that I can then make, any necessary adjustments, because I took your word. I believe what you said. And so I'm expecting you to do what you said you were going to do. I don't care how big or small it is. And so at the very least, be considerate of my time, my mental space, any of those things, to just simply communicate with me. Um, Confidentiality is very important to me, especially as I'm also, a minister of the gospel. Um, like we said earlier, everybody can't take all of you. And you and I have had some crazy some crazy conversations before. I mean, nothing inappropriate, y'all. But
No,
Camila,
but it's been safe. Like, it's been safe though.
yes. And so, you know, that might be parts of Elder LaShawn that Camille can take, Or my sister, Dr. Matisse, is on the line. She and I, we're elders in the church. There are, a lot of things that I might only feel safe sharing with her as, as an equal, if you will, to me, that I couldn't share it with, someone that doesn't have the type of call that we have on our life, because they just may not be able to handle that and still be able to, see you in a certain space or
Mm.
whatnot. So, and I should be able to talk to my close sister friend and not have to worry about what we're talking about being in somebody else's group chat, or and vice versa.
Yeah.
I've had, growing up through my years, I've had, you know, those who I thought were my sisters. And, you get to sharing, very personal and confidential things. And then next thing you know, a year later, somebody falls out with somebody or whatnot, and then all this confidential information, because you mad, and you want to be petty, and now all your business is out. But one thing I pride myself with, whatever spirit in which you shared what you shared with me is the same spirit I'm always going to keep it in. Even if you out there telling my business, because I've had this happen before, um telling all my secrets, I'm even in my anger, in my disappointment, in my hurt or whatnot, I'm not going to do you that way, because you trusted me with that information.
Mhm.
And that's a character thing.
I've had that experience. I can relate.
Yeah.
Um, I think for me, one of my things would be it's just reciprocity. Um, I'm the type of person, if I'm there for you and I'm there for you and I'm there for you in that moment, be there for me in the same capacity. You know, I like to feel heard. I want to be heard and I want my feelings to be acknowledged and not just blown over, but the same attention and care that I gave you, give it to me. Because once I see that it's not reciprocal, I'll still speak and laugh with you, but in my mind, I make a note, and then that part of myself I lock away,
Mhm.
and that part of me gets tight because I'm like, okay, and it's not anything against the person, but it's just I'm like, well, maybe they just don't have the capacity,
I
and
was
so
just about to say that.
and
Yeah.
so now I have to monitor my pour.
Sure. Absolutely.
And it's not bad, but I just take it as a learning lesson. I go, "Oh, okay," you know,
Mhm.
and, absolutely on the disrespect and as far as safety, I call it being a vault, meaning it's a safe
Yes.
space, and, people have told me things that other people, if they knew, they'd be like, "What? Not so and
Yeah.
so?"
Yeah.
But I'll just sit there and if something comes out, I'll play dumb too, like, "What? They what?" Even though I knew, but it's just like because I don't and I've had it done to me, but I feel that when people do that, it's a hard posture and it lets me know that's how you were really feeling about me in the beginning, but the situation just provided space or opportunity for it to manifest.
Absolutely.
And so that's another no, and I feel like you can disagree, but you don't have to go below the belt,
Absolutely.
and I've experienced that happen, and although it was done to me, I didn't, rail for real, as we call it. I didn't do that because that's just not my heart.
Hmm.
But, I think that's my thing for me, and we've and you and one thing I'm learning to love about you is that you accept my human side. Like we're divine, but then I have a humanity and you handle my humanity and I'm just like
Humanity. Ministry.
y'all just don't know. That's an inside joke. Woo, Jesus. Yes. And but it's in a place that's safe and we can snicker and kiki, but then turn around and go back to, so
Girl,
it's
pray for me. Girl.
yes.
Hmm.
So that's an awesome thing. And this time goes by so fast. But guess what? It's all good because you get to come back. And we're gonna make the announcement here. So I have one more episode before we wrap up the month of February. Just went right on by.
January lasted all year. February lasted for a week.
It's like, and then so much has happened in our society in the last
Yeah.
30 days. I'm
Yeah.
like, gosh. But it's just like we just had watch service and New Year's, and now here we are. But you're gonna join me the 1st of March to open up March because March is International Women's Month. And so why not begin the month with an awesome woman? So you'll be back in March. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I do want to say I thank you just for joining me and sitting down and sharing parts of your journey. We're going to dig, a little bit more into it when you return. But before you leave and we wrap things up, do you have any like nuggets or gems that you have for the listeners and viewers? Like little takeaways, and then where can people contact you on social media?
First, let me say thank you for the invitation to come on with you. I also want to shout out my mother, Louetta Cody, because all the elements of me, they derive from her. All the things that I said about myself, I am who I am because I watched her be all the stuff that I said, a vault, a non-judging person, a safe space, an encourager, all that kind of stuff. I get it from my mama. But anyway, nuggets of truth. I would say the first step of, just really being who God made you to be is to be honest with yourself. Be honest with where you are. Be honest with um what your quote unquote triggers are. Be honest about what your strengths are. Be honest about what your weaknesses are, because nobody knows you like you know you. um and so even with having sisters, even with having, accountability people and all of the externals, if you're not honest with yourself, a lot of times even those closest people are only going to get the representative of yourself that you want them to know. And so I try to do me checks every now and then when I see I've been on a roll of getting easily aggravated, or on a roll of, flipping off at the mouth or whatever. I'm like, all right, LaShawn, dial it back in. What's going on with you?
Mhm.
You getting a little crazy. Um, and that's not something that I used to be able to do. There used to be times in my life where if everybody is saying the same thing about you, it's probably true. And we can reject what people say. I used to always get the, LaShawn, is not what you say, it's how you say it. And I just be like, well, nah, you just too sensitive. But if enough people keep saying it, I have to be mature enough to say, okay, LaShawn, think about what you just said. Think about what you did. You have to say it that way. And so I'm always trying to be self-aware. Sometimes I'm, not as good as other times,
Yeah.
but I'm always real about myself with me. I can't lie to me. I might can fudge up something with somebody, but I know me. I love me. There are areas that I know I still, I'm always going to have to be working on and keeping, in check. And I can be a better friend to my sisters if I am the best version of me to me, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, because I had a day today, and I know I've learned me as far as I always want to do well, and this pressure to be excellent, and sometimes taking on more than we should because well, I learned through my therapist where my tendency to want to please where it comes from. And then when I feel like I don't meet an expectation or that even though everyone else is like, "Oh, you did great," but I'm focused on what I didn't do right over here, then I'm so critical of myself, and
Yes,
then I'll just
definitely.
go inward, and it's like, you know, you did all this, but you messed that up or you did and it's because this expectation to do it right and be great every time, and it's like, "Camille, you're not gonna hit it every time," and that's something I'm still having to learn, but today, I just had a whole, like, moment, like, "Oh my god, what am I doing it?" You know? And it was and when I do that, I get brain fog, and then sometimes I just check out, and then I'm just like,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And so in that, I definitely want to shout out Olivia because I called her today, and I was just like, "Girl," she's like, "Camille," and if y'all talk to Olivia, you know how she talks, and she just really loved me through the situation.
Oh, that's why you didn't respond to my text and my email
I
earlier.
was having a
Oh, okay.
whole moment.
I was like, wait a minute, make
I
sure she
had a
okay.
whole I'm on the phone crying, and
Yeah.
she's just like, you know, and she loved me through the situation. And Olivia's such a
She's
sounding
very
board.
motherly.
Yes. And she just like her gentleness, you
Yes.
know, because I was just like, I'm trying not to cry. And she was like, Camille, you're doing a good job and very healing, Adelia. And so I appreciate that because I was just like, girl, and this and da da da, and I just feel this way. And she just took a moment and paused, even though she had things going on. And you know how you get that one piece of hair on your lash and it's been on my nerves this whole golly, like Easter basket grass. It's just everywhere. But it's just she just really stepped in as a sister and a friend. And just even like talking to you, it helped me just come back to a space because um comparison can be a killer of joy. And sometimes you have to just focus,
Oh, that's my biggest. Ooh, 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 ooh.
you
Mm.
know. And it can really take from you. And so in those spaces like this conversation with you and talking to her, it's just a reminder that we're doing better than we realize. And
Yeah.
even though we feel like, you know, I haven't done this and that or whatever, it's like, no, but look at what you have done. Despite, you know, the adversities or whatever, like we are doing really good. And the fact that it's like God is like, I'm with you, I'm for you, I got you. So
But here's the wonderful thing. We are allowed to have those moments.
yeah.
We are allowed to have those moments. Long as you don't park there too long, but
Yeah.
we are allowed to have those moments because God knows this bold, bubbly, confident, always seem like pulled together person that y'all see publicly. If the walls of my house could talk,
Look.
and it's but I had to, we have to tell ourselves it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have those moments where you don't feel like you want to get out of the bed, because I have those days. But after day 2 or 3, it's like, all right, okay, you've been down there long enough. But sometimes it's necessary. It is
Yeah.
necessary. We are human. God gave us these emotions. A lot of times the emotions are those involuntary me checks, and
Yep.
they help you to kind of, okay, take a step back for a second. Let's check, why are we here, what brought us here. And so it's okay. That's what I'm saying to my sisters, y'all. It's okay to have those moments. Just don't stay there too long.
Oh, you got my eyes watering. Oh, I gotta keep these lashes on. Oh my God.
Yep. And then you
But
can call Olivia and she'll say, hello there. I like watching her videos because she was, hello there.
And she'll bat her lashes just if y'all don't know Olivia, if you have not followed her or watched her videos, there's a serenity about her and and there's just a serenity about her and she's another one of those people I call a vault, and I just appreciate the people God is bringing to me in my life during this season of my life and
Yep.
just very appreciative. Y'all got me sniffing and carrying on. Oh, this was not the plan. But it's just yes, that's Olivia all day, Adelia. And so I'm just appreciative because sometimes we think we know what we need. We know what we want, at least we think we do, but God knows what we need and how God packages those things and those people. And that's why it's so important to sometimes we get so busy and
Yes.
you have to slow down because the very blessing, answer that you need in a sister or friend could be sitting right next to you. But we can be so just what I
Yeah.
call the blinders on and so focused on what's not, but not looking at what is. And it's around us.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to just slow down and take the time. So this has been
Mm-hmm.
a good conversation
I
and I
enjoyed
appreciate it. I hope everyone got something from this conversation, whether if you're listening to the live or catching the replay. Thank you so much. And I cannot wait to have you back very soon. It's going to be a good conversation. And for those that have not done so, please go online and you can follow me. I am on Instagram, across streaming platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. And also, I'm working to build my YouTube channel. So please hit that notification bell and subscribe. And I would love to hear from you. You can hit me up at the speakerpodcast@gmail.com. And also, um, just feel like giving a little bit. So for the next hour, on my website, I am running a little sale store wide. Just use the code CREATE21 and you'll be able to get a bundle. So if you are learning or wanting to learn about Canva and start your ebook journey, I have a bundle. So if you purchase them together, you will be able to get a discount at the checkout. Just be sure that you use Create21 and subscribe. And for my Canva playbook, and my ebook called eBalls, How to Self-Publish an Ebook. Purchase those together with that coupon code and you'll be able to save at the checkout. And also thank you to everyone that's tuned in. If you're coming in late, hey Ladare, how you doing? It's great to see you. And
it.
thank you again. She
Wait,
said,
wait, I
come
have to
on.
take credit for Ladair. Ladair came into the spirit and truth world through my connection, through our connection from her church in Columbia, South Carolina. Shout out to the Bishop Eric J. Freeman and the Meeting Place Church. And so, and she's a jewel. She's a jewel. She's a jewel. She's a jewel.
And also, before we wrap up, I didn't know you knew Willie Nelson III and Deshaun Gills. So I went to college with Willie, and his dorm was across the quad from mine. And we were two broke college students, and we used to feed each other. He used to make the chicken, and I would get the sides. So it's such a small world. But
I
you
came
all,
to know Willie through I was the choir director and worship leader at Zion Hill Baptist Church from 2012 to 2023, and he was the director before me.
wow. Yeah, I met Willie. I knew him before I was at his probate. After his probate, he met my mom before. Um, he would just call everybody like, "Hey, mom," he's always talking about VA. It's like-
And then we used to sing shout out. We used to sing background for Miranda Curtis.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's my soror.
Mm-hmm.
But and so it's just it was so amazing how life just you just don't know who you know and who they know.
That's
So I
right.
think
That's why it pays to live right and do right, because you just don't know who you're doing wrong around.
right. But Willie and I, we were always good together and we looked out for each other. It was like two or three of us, like a little group. And so on the weekend, like we had Sunday dinners. And so I had a crock pot and I had a toaster oven And then Willie had something in his room, and then another college student. So he was like, well, I'll get the chicken, and then I would make the green beans, and then somebody else would get like the rolls and the I think we had fruit punch or whatever. And that was like our thing that we would do. So yeah, really good times. But y'all, it's been really good, and I appreciate everyone coming in. Be sure to tune in next week. We're going to do something a little different. Normally we air on Thursday, but next week we'll be airing on Wednesday. The one and only Rashonda Pratt, she's coming back, will be at 8:00 just on Wednesday, not Thursday. And I look forward to seeing you all there. Hold on, Elder LaShawn, just a moment. This is Camille Essick. This is the host of the Speaker Podcast, the podcast where innovators and critics connect. You all be safe. I love you all. Happy weekend. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Speak Her Podcast. Be sure to follow Camille on Instagram at camille.essick, Facebook at the Speak Her Podcast, or www